So Chris at LiteAF, you know, he and Frozen just kind of partnered together designing a new tarp. Their Dyneema tarp with doors. I think he's got some other versions too. I forget the price, over 300 bucks. But that's how much Dyneema costs, folks. So this is the 12-foot with doors. This is a first look. I've literally spent one night in it. It rained all night long. So the tarp's still a little wet. So I guess first of all, when it comes to tarps, Kevin and I are not really that nitpicky. We've been using the Hammock Gear 12-foot hex tarps, and they've been fine. They've been great. No issues really. If you're into the nitpickiness of tarps and you're into like into some serious coverage and weather protection, Frozen, you know, he is nitpicky as heck, and that's a compliment to him. And he worked with Chris to kind of put together what he thought works well in a tarp, and that he wanted to see. And so I guess this is it. This is what they created, and you know, it's just one night for me, so I can't really like sit here and say it's like the end all be all. Do I like it? Of course I like it. It's awesome. All right, check it out.
I don't remember.
It's a palace in here.
But there is one there, right?
I think
Palace.
So.
Yeah. Very, very roomy.
If not, it's a short hike back to the car.
And if you had the poles to do the pole mod in these things, you could really open it up. So very nice, very nice.
I think there may actually.
I didn't have to tighten it up at all throughout the night from the weight of the rain. Yeah, pretty cool. Night one, successful. I've never had a tarp with doors before, so I have a tough time comparing it to, but one of the things I really noticed about the doors was that it is solidly covered. Solidly covered. And then my Hammock Gear suspension fits right in there, or my Dutchwear suspension fits right through perfectly fine. The cool thing about Chris is he gives you all the mitten hooks and the shock cord all ready to go for your doors. And you can hook them and unhook them tons of different ways. I've got these attached to the tie out point here. You can attach them through the inside to get rid of the doors. You can hook them up on the outside. I've never had a tarp with doors before, and it's pretty sweet. This whole setup weighs about 3 to 4 ounces more than our Hammock Gear setups. So it's heavier, but we always talk about if you have to have one piece of gear to rule them all. So if you want one tarp to rule them all, go with full coverage. And then you can kind of dial it back if it's a nice, you know, summer day. You don't need the coverage. You can put it in porch mode. You can tie the doors back. You can even do the pole mods for these. It's got two points to do pole mods on it. If you don't know what the pole mod is, just Google it. That's all over the place. Another thing that Chris specifically calls out, and Frozen also, his nitpickiness called out, the tie-out points. In some other different types of tarps, I believe, like more of the cat cut tarps, you see a lot of flop.
I didn't realize this is not
here.
a cat cut.
Yeah, you see a lot of flop here. And I think that's frustrating to some people. We do see it in our tarps. We just kind of like deal with it. And I'll show you what that, yeah, you can show what that looks like right here. So this is the Hammock Gear 12-foot tarp. Yeah, and so like if you're nitpicky about tarps, you might not like that. Frozen hates that. And so he wanted that addressed in this tarp, which I might not have this thing pitched perfectly, but it is taut right here. So it's not a cat cut tarp, I believe. But really this is a massive tarp, tons of coverage. The doors are really cool. The suspension that I have on it, I hate continuous ridge lines on my tarp. I got rid of it. I have Dutchwear stingers on it, and then I have these line tensioners, line locks or whatever they're called on the tie outs. Supposedly one of the things that Chris and Frozen worked on is the angles of these tie outs, and the specific angles that the tie outs are at give you this more taut pitch. it's a great tarp. I mean, I've never had a tarp with doors in it. It's extremely roomy. I gotta get the I gotta make some like Zing It tie outs here so that I can put my poles on there and I can take it out even more. I mean, it's a freaking palace on the inside. I think I've always made the mistake of hanging my tarps too high, especially when it's raining. And so I probably should have this a little bit lower, especially in inclement weather, but it is what it is. I'm a tarp noob. And Kevin and I are lazy campers, so that's why we rely on people like Frozen and LiteAF to make a perfect product so that we don't have to tweak and dial things in. Yeah, the angle of this tarp, what do you think of the angle of this, David?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. David thinks the angle is beautiful on this tarp.
It's nice
So,
and tight too.
yeah, it's tight. The angle, it's like straight down. Yeah, I could pull it out.
There's no curve to it. It's nice and tight.
Yeah.
All the way through.
Yep.
Wish I would have been in there last night.
Yeah. David had a bad experience in his tent last night.
My 1960s.
Yeah, his Nemo tent from 1964 was a sponge apparently. But yeah, I mean, if you just look at how tight this is and the angle of it, it's a lot different. But I mean, some user setup issues there as well. But yeah, so Kevin and I are gonna keep using these tarps all season. There's a little bit of a weight trade-off. But you know, that's the way it goes. You want more accessories, you want more coverage, you want doors. I mean, it's a few ounces, but so yeah, that's just kind of our first look at them. Yeah, the doors are cool, and I've never had a tarp with doors. Kevin has another one with doors, but yeah, this is cool. But yeah, so way more coverage. But this is, I mean, this is meant to be a little bit more minimalistic, lighter weight. So, well, thanks for watching our first look. You can tear it apart. You can call out in the comments all the mistakes I made setting up the tarp, all that junk. Go to LiteAF, order one. Truthfully, like, if you got to get some feedback on somebody to help design a tarp, Frozen's the one you want, because he, like I've said 10 times, he's really nitpicky and really particular about his gear. So I think it's a great product. So hopefully everybody else likes it too.